On my 70th birthday, my world collapsed. My daughter, the person I loved most in the world, called me to say she couldn't come to my celebration. She said she had a more important meeting. I was in shock. How could this be? On my 70th birthday? I couldn't believe my ears. A few hours later, she posted a photo on Instagram traveling with her mother-in-law. The caption read, "You are the mother I have always dreamed of. I'm glad you're with me." Follow my story to the end and write in the comments which city you're watching me from, so I know how far it has spread. I looked at my phone in complete bewilderment. My hands were shaking as I reread the message. "Sorry, Mom. I can't come to dinner. Something important has come up. Can we reschedule? Something important." On my 70th birthday. I put the phone on the kitchen table next to the cake I had baked myself. A small chocolate cake with vanilla icing, just the kind my daughter loved as a child. I even bought beautiful candles with golden flames, hoping that maybe this year would be different. Maybe this year she would want to spend it with me. The house seemed huge. It was filled with the silence of unfulfilled expectations. I had been cleaning all day, preparing all of my daughter's favorite dishes, even buying the very wine she had liked at a dinner party at her husband's. The table in the dining room was set for 3, for me, my daughter, and my 8-year-old granddaughter. The phone vibrated again. This time it was a notification from Instagram. My daughter had a new post. I rarely use social media, but I had learned to use it to at least keep up with my family's life. It was the only way to know what was going on with them. With trembling fingers, I opened the app. The image on the screen was like a punch to the chest. In it, my daughter is beaming, hugging her mother-in-law. They are sitting in an expensive restaurant, with glasses of wine raised in a toast. Between them is my granddaughter, smiling, holding what seems to be an expensive piece of jewelry. But what struck me the most was the caption, "Birthday with the mother I have always dreamed of. Thank you for always being there. A real family is the one we choose ourselves. I am blessed with the best people in my life." I read it 3 times before fully realizing. Birthday. Today. My birthday. My daughter lied to me to spend my day with another woman. And not just any stranger, but with her mother-in-law. With the woman who somehow became closer and more important to my daughter than me. I scrolled through the comments, each one was like a knife in the heart. "Ins is amazing. You're so lucky to have her. Best grandmother. Emma is so lucky. A found family is the best family. A found family, as if I was lost, discarded, replaced by someone better." I remembered all the birthdays I spent alone because my daughter had other plans. I remembered Christmas evenings when I was invited at the last moment. I would arrive and see that my son-in-law's mother was already there. Settled in. At home. I sat in the back row at school plays and football matches, while my son-in-law's mother sat in the front, next to my daughter. When did I become a stranger in my own child's life? I went to the bedroom and opened the drawer where my checkbook lay. The very one I had been using for the past 5 years to silently support my daughter's family. I paid the mortgage so they could live in a beautiful house. I paid for my granddaughter's private school because education is important. I covered credit cards that accidentally ended up in my name in tough times. Just last month, I transferred $1,500 for my son-in-law's car repair. The month before that, $2,000 for a summer camp for my granddaughter. And before that, a family vacation to Disneyland, which I paid for. But I wasn't even invited to go with them. I did this quietly, without any claims. My daughter asked me not to tell anyone, saying her husband would be embarrassed to accept help. I understood, pride is important. But now, seeing this photo, reading these words about a real family, I wondered, was my silence a mistake? Did my restraint allow them to forget where their comfortable life really came from? I looked at myself in the mirror above the dresser. 70 years old. Alone. In a house that now seemed too big. On my birthday, I looked at photos where my daughter was celebrating. But not with me. When did I become so invisible? The phone rang. The screen displayed my daughter's name. "Hi, Mom," her voice was cheerful, almost sing-song. "How was your day? Did you do anything special for your birthday?" I looked at my reflection as I answered. It was quiet. "Oh, how great," she exclaimed. Sometimes quiet birthdays are the best. "Listen, I can't talk long, we're having dinner with my mother-in-law." She invited us to this amazing place downtown. An amazing place downtown, the same one from the photo. "Sounds wonderful," I managed to say. "It really is. She's incredible, Mom. She really understands what family means. Anyway, we'll see each other soon, okay? Love you." She hung up without waiting for my response. I sat on the edge of the bed, still clutching the phone. She called me to tell me how wonderful her evening was with another woman. On my birthday. With a woman who truly understands what family means. And somewhere in that moment, something inside me changed. It wasn't anger yet. Anger would come later. This was colder. Quieter. It was the sound of illusions shattering. For 5 years, I had funded a life in which there was no place for me. For 5 years, I had paid for my own exclusion. But no more. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and bank statements from the past 5 years spread out before me. I had barely slept. Questions I had never dared to ask before swirled in my head. The numbers told a story I didn't want to see. Mortgage, $2,800 a month, automatically deducted from my account for 4 years. $200 a month, tuition for my granddaughter at Westfield Academy. An automatic transfer I set up myself when my daughter said private education was very important. Credit card payments, from $800 to $3,500 a month. Everything, groceries, gas, and, it seemed, extensive purchases of clothes and electronics. And there were one-time transfers, $5,000, for a family vacation to Cabo last Christmas. I found out about it from social media posts. $3,200, for new furniture in the living room. $2,800, for my son-in-law's dentist. $4,500, for an urgent home repair, as noted in the payment description. I quickly calculated in my head. Over the past 5 years, I had given them nearly $180,000. $180,000. The amount stunned me. All this time, I had been supporting an entire family, while I myself lived modestly in a paid-off house, bought groceries on sale, and wore the same clothes for years because I didn't need much at my age. I reached for the phone and called the bank. "Mrs. Anderson, how can I help you?" The customer service representative's voice sounded deliberately cheerful. "I need to check all automatic payments and transfers from my account," I said. "Everything that goes to my daughter or son-in-law." "Of course. I'll open your profile now." There was a brief pause, followed by the sound of typing. "You have 7 active automatic payments linked to these names. Would you like me to list them?" 7? I thought there were 3 or 4 at most. "Yes, please. Monthly mortgage payment, $2,800, First National Mortgage. Account holder, my daughter. Monthly tuition payment, $1,200, Westfield Academy. Student name, my granddaughter. Payment, $450, Visa, ending in 4782. Account holder, my son-in-law. Payment, $320, American Express, ending in 1097. Also in my son-in-law's name. Payment, $180, Progressive Insurance for a 2021 BMW. The car is registered to my son-in-law. Payment, $95, Verizon Wireless, family plan. Account holder, my daughter. Transfer, $600 to a savings account in my granddaughter's name. I gripped the phone tighter. Insurance payment? When did that start? Let me see. 18 months ago. The comment on the transfer says, help with car loan. Help with a car loan. I remembered that conversation. My son-in-law was desperate then, his car had broken down. My daughter called me in tears, they couldn't afford a reliable car. I offered to help temporarily, until they got back on their feet. 18 months ago. And the account in my granddaughter's name? How long has that been active? It's been active for 3 years. The purpose of the payment is contribution to the college fund. For 3 years, I had been building up college savings for a granddaughter I see maybe once a month. And even then, at awkward family dinners where I felt like an outsider. After the call, I sat for a long time, staring at the numbers. I wasn't just helping. I was funding their entire life. A beautiful house in a gated community. Private school. A luxury car. Credit cards that allowed my son-in-law to spend money recklessly. Even my granddaughter's future was secured with my money. And I was called the one who doesn't understand what family means. I remembered a dinner at their place last month. My son-in-law's mother, of course, was there. As always, at the head of the table. And I sat at the end, like a guest. She admired how my son-in-law manages finances wisely. It's nice to see young people know how to handle money, said my son-in-law's mother, with that proud intonation I knew well. I used to speak like that myself. At their age, such discipline is rare. My son-in-law beamed with pride. My daughter nodded energetically. My husband is just a master at budgeting. He has taught me so much about financial planning. Financial planning, entirely built on my automatic payments. And then my son-in-law's mother started talking with a smile about how she took my granddaughter shopping for school clothes. She bought her expensive outfits, the same ones I later saw on social media. Spoiling my granddaughter. Spoiling her with money that ultimately came from me. The irony of it choked me. I was funding the very generosity that made my son-in-law's mother look like the perfect grandmother, while I was sidelined. I opened my daughter's Instagram again and started scrolling. Photo after photo, a perfect life. My son-in-law in designer clothes, in expensive restaurants. My granddaughter, at dance classes, art camps, soccer leagues. All of this I paid for, but I was never invited. My daughter and son-in-law, at wine tastings, spa retreats, weekend getaways together. All of this was made possible by me. But I wasn't part of this life. I came across a photo from last month, my granddaughter's dance recital. She looked adorable, in a costume that probably cost more than I spend on clothes in 6 months. The caption read, "So proud of our little star. Thank you, Grandma Inns, for always being there to support her. Family pride. Queen of the dance floor." I remembered that recital. I had asked my daughter if I could come to watch. "Oh, Mom, it's just a small thing," she said then. "Only for the closest family. You'd probably be bored." "Only for the closest family," she told me. Me. While I paid for the costume, the classes, possibly even the party after the recital. I closed the app. Darkness gradually thickened in the kitchen. For many years, I had told myself that generosity is what makes a real mother. That financial support is a form of love, even if that love isn't returned the way you hope. But this wasn't love. It was exploitation. And tomorrow, I would start changing that. 3 days after the disaster of my birthday, I was still sorting through financial papers when the phone rang. It was my daughter. "Mom, are you okay? You haven't called," as usual. I almost laughed at the irony. I hadn't called because I was too busy discovering how much I had been used. I'm fine, dear. Just busy. Oh, great. Listen, I have amazing news. My mother-in-law arranged a surprise for us, a weekend trip to Napa Valley. She booked a luxurious resort and spa. My son-in-law is so exhausted from work, and my mother-in-law thought it would be the perfect opportunity for mother-daughter bonding. Mother-daughter bonding. Those words stung. But I kept my voice neutral. Sounds lovely. It is. She's so generous, Mom. She thinks of everything. The resort has an incredible spa, and she gifted my husband a full package, massages, facials, everything included. And she also bought him a fancy new outfit for dinner at the hotel restaurant. I don't know what we did to deserve such care in our lives. I gripped the phone tighter. How wonderful that she can afford such generosity. Exactly. She has such a big heart. She loves my husband like her own daughter. Sometimes I feel like my husband is closer to his mother than to his own mother. After my daughter hung up, I sat there looking at the credit card statement. The same card of my son-in-law's that I had been paying off for the past 3 years. There it was. Nordstrom, 2 days ago, $847. Sephora, the same day, $312. And yesterday, a payment to some company called Luxury Travel Concierge for $1,200. I grabbed my laptop and typed the company's name into the search engine. It turned out to be an agency that enhances travel experiences, premium upgrades, exclusive packages. My son-in-law had used my credit card to pay for upgrades to my mother-in-law's generous gift. The very spa treatments my daughter was raving about. The outfit for the dinner at the hotel restaurant. I paid for everything. My mother-in-law received praise for generosity she could afford only because I was paying my son-in-law's bills. And suddenly, the whole scheme became terrifyingly clear. The next hour, I spent comparing months of credit card statements with my daughter's social media posts. Every generous gesture from my mother-in-law coincided with transactions on my cards. An expensive dinner for my granddaughter's 8th birthday, where my mother-in-law was praised for how she spoils the granddaughter. The dress, shoes, and gift, all bought on my card the day before. A spontaneous trip to Disneyland, organized by my mother-in-law. My son-in-law used my card to book tickets and upgrade the hotel. Even family photos where everyone looked impeccable, in clothes I had paid for. I created that outward success for which my mother-in-law rewarded my son-in-law with admiration. I funded my own replacement. My hands trembled as I dialed my son-in-law's number. He answered on the 3rd ring, cheerful and carefree. "Hi, Wanda. How are you?" "I'm fine, dear. I just wanted to ask, how was the trip to Napa?" "Oh my God, it was amazing. My mother-in-law is just magical. The resort was like something out of a magazine. The spa, the food. Everything was top-notch." He went on for another 5 minutes about all the details of my mother-in-law's generous gift. "Sounds expensive," I cautiously said. "That's the point. My mother-in-law just wanted to treat us, you know. She says we deserve it. She always thinks about how to make things nice for us. Such a blessed woman in our lives. And how are you doing financially? Last time you said work was tough." "We're doing fine, really. There are expenses here and there, but we're managing well. My mother-in-law always says how proud she is of our financial discipline. She sees that we never spend unnecessarily and don't ask for help." Never ask for help, I barely recognized my own voice. "That's great. Oh, before I forget. Can I ask you for something? My daughter's school is having a fundraiser soon, and it's really important for us to make a good impression on the other parents. It's just $500 for the sponsorship level we need. just $500, after a weekend that cost thousands. I'll think about it, I said. When the call ended, I went to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked. In front of me was a 70-year-old woman who had been sleepwalking through her financial life. A woman who so desperately wanted to be needed and loved that she had become a silent ATM. My son-in-law didn't just use my money. He used it strategically, carefully, to create an image of himself as someone worthy of my mother-in-law's admiration. Every transaction on my card was an investment in relationships that replaced me. And the cruelest irony was that my mother-in-law admired my son-in-law's financial independence. Qualities that only existed because I was secretly paying for everything. My son-in-law didn't have to ask my mother-in-law for money, because he had me. He could be generous and grateful, because I was paying for his gratitude. I was paying for my daughter to love someone else. I returned to the kitchen. On the table lay all the papers, evidence of my naivety, laid out like a map of 5 years of foolishness. For 5 years, I had been the invisible foundation on which their perfect life was built. And in return, I was gradually and systematically excluded from that life. But they made one fatal mistake. They forgot that a foundation can crumble. And when it crumbles, everything built on top comes crashing down with it. Tomorrow, I would start removing the foundation. I spent the weekend making lists. Not of purchases or tasks, but lists of all automatic payments, all cards, all channels through which my money flowed into their lives. The scale was staggering. Besides the obvious expenses, I discovered dozens of small ones I had forgotten about: Netflix, Spotify, even Amazon Prime, all tied to my cards. At some point, my son-in-law had casually mentioned that streaming services were getting too expensive. My granddaughter's gymnastics classes, art supplies, even money for school lunches, all automatically deducted from my account. I was paying for every aspect of their comfortable life. On Monday morning, I called the bank again. I need to cancel all automatic payments and remove all additional users from all my accounts, I told the operator. That's quite a few operations, Mrs. Anderson. Are you sure you want to cancel everything? Some of these payments have been active for several years. I'm sure. Okay. For security purposes, I'll need to verify some information. It took 45 minutes to dismantle 5 years of financial dependency brick by brick. Each cancelled payment was like cutting a rope that had been slowly choking me for years. Okay, I confirm, the operator said. You have cancelled 7 automatic payments, removed 2 additional users from 3 credit cards, and closed 1 joint savings account. Is that correct? That's correct. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes. I want to change the phone number in the system and update the privacy settings, so that no information about my accounts is shared with anyone. I hung up and sat in the silence of the kitchen. I waited for the guilt to come. For the voice in my head that always whispered I should be a good mother, a caring grandmother, a woman who puts family first. But the voice didn't come. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in many years: relief. The first sign that they noticed came on Tuesday afternoon. My son-in-law called. His voice was tense and confused. Wanda, it seems there's some mistake with our cards. The card you gave us for emergencies didn't go through at the store today. I could have said it wasn't a mistake. But instead, I said, oh, how strange. Did you call the bank? I tried. They said the account is closed. But that can't be true, right? You wouldn't close it without warning us. You know, I've just been reviewing my finances lately. Making some changes. What kind of changes? Simplifying things. At my age, it's important to be more careful with money. But, Wanda, we were counting on. I mean, my daughter's school tuition is due tomorrow, and the mortgage. My daughter said you always took care of that. I took care of it. For a long time. A pause. A long one. Are you saying you're not going to help us anymore? The word help almost made me laugh. Help implies a request. Reciprocity. Gratitude. I'm saying I'll be more careful with my expenses. But my granddaughter and her school, I'm sure you and my daughter will manage. You're both very capable. After my son-in-law's call, less than an hour passed before my daughter called. Her voice was higher than usual, agitated. Mom, my husband said you cancelled the payments. There must be some mistake? No, dear. No mistake. But why? Is something wrong? Money problems? Money problems? After I had given them nearly $200,000 over 5 years? No, I'm fine. Just making some adjustments to the budget. Adjustments? Mom, we're talking about my daughter's education, the house payments. These aren't things you just adjust. Actually, Sarah, they are. And these are my adjustments. I don't understand. You've always been happy to help. You said family is the most important thing, that you want to secure my daughter's future. She was right. I had said that. But back then, I thought I was investing in relationships, not in financing my own exclusion. Everything changes, I said simply. Mom, please. If this is about the birthday, I told you we can make it up. My mother-in-law just invited us, and it's not about the birthday, Sarah. Then what? What did we do wrong? The question hung between us like heavy air. What had they done wrong? Everything. And simultaneously, nothing. They had taken my money with gratitude, while methodically pushing me out of their lives. They had used my generosity to build relationships with others, while treating me like an inconvenient obligation. But I didn't say any of that. Instead, you didn't do anything wrong, Sarah. I've just decided to spend my money differently. Differently? How? On myself. The silence that hung on the line was deafening. On yourself? My daughter's voice became sharp. Mom, you barely spend anything on yourself. You live in the same house, drive an old car, wear clothes from a decade ago. What could you possibly need? And there it was. What had been behind all their actions all these years, the assumption that I needed nothing. That I wanted nothing. That my purpose was to provide for them, asking nothing in return. Maybe I just want to find out, I said. Find out what? What it's like to be important in my own life. I hung up without waiting for a response. On Wednesday, the panic began. My daughter and son-in-law called several times. I didn't answer. I listened to the voicemails and deleted them. Mom, please call back. We need to talk. My daughter's school is asking about the tuition payment. Wanda, I don't understand what's happening. Please, let's meet and talk as a family. On Thursday, the calls turned angry. Mom, this is going too far. You can't just stop helping without warning. We made plans based on your support. Wanda, this is unfair. You know we can't afford all these payments ourselves. My daughter is devastated. On Friday, panic set in. Mom, the bank called about the mortgage. Please. We can discuss, resolve this, Wanda, please. My granddaughter might have to change schools. How do I explain this to an 8-year-old child? I listened to each message only once. Then, deleted them. With each voice on the answering machine, one thing became clear: they don't see me as a mother or grandmother. They see a resource. A financial tool. No one asked if I was okay. No one thought maybe something had happened to me. They were only concerned about one thing: the money had stopped. On Saturday morning, I went to the bank and opened a new account. Then I stopped by a travel agency that I had probably passed 1,000 times but never entered. I would like to plan a trip, I told the woman with kind eyes and an encouraging smile. Wonderful. Where would you like to go? I thought of all the places I had paid for others to go: Napa Valley, Disneyland, Cabo. Trips I wasn't invited to. Somewhere I've never been. Somewhere beautiful. And expensive. The travel agent smiled wider. That sounds like a real adventure, she said. And she was probably right. For the first time in 5 years, I was going to spend money on myself, not on others' perfect lives that I was erased from, but on memories that would be mine alone. In the second week, real panic set in. I was sitting in the garden with a travel brochure about Scotland when my daughter's car sharply turned onto my driveway. Through the window, I saw her frantically dialing a number, probably calling my son-in-law to tell him she's at mine. I didn't get up. Let her come herself. The doorbell rang 3 times before I opened it. My daughter stood on the porch, looking exhausted, her usually impeccable hair tied in a messy ponytail, her eyes red as if from crying. Mom, thank God. We need to talk. Hello, dear. Come in. She followed me into the living room, where travel brochures were spread out on the coffee table. Her gaze immediately fell on them. Are you going on a trip? Yes. Where? Scotland. Maybe Ireland afterward. Haven't decided yet. My daughter looked at the brochures as if they were evidence of a crime. Mom, we can't pay the mortgage this month. The bank called yesterday. We're facing losing the house. I'm sorry to hear that, I calmly replied. You're sorry. Her voice trembled. Mom, we could lose the house. I settled into my favorite armchair, the very one I bought for myself last week. Soft, blue, comfortable, the first piece of furniture I had allowed myself in 20 years. That would be sad, I said. Sad. My daughter's eyes widened. Mom, what's happening to you? You're not yourself, and how do you know who I am? When was the last time you asked? My daughter opened her mouth to say something but closed it immediately. We both knew the answer. Mom, you know we love you, but we're in a crisis right now. My granddaughter might have to leave her school. My son-in-law is having panic attacks over the mortgage. We need your help. You need my money. It's the same thing. No, dear, it's not the same thing. I watched her nervously pace my living room. Her movements were sharp, agitated. It was the most attention I had received in years. And it only happened because the flow of money had stopped. I don't understand what we did to deserve this, she said, tears welling in her eyes. We've always been grateful for your help. Really? Were you? Of course. We always say thank you, really. When exactly? When you post photos of my mother-in-law giving expensive gifts to my granddaughter with money that actually came from me? When you admire my son-in-law's financial responsibility while I'm paying off his credit cards? When you praise my mother-in-law's generosity for trips and dinners that I'm actually paying for? My daughter stopped. She froze, not knowing what to say. I handed her the folder I had prepared earlier. It contained credit card statements and bank documents. My son-in-law's shopping before your trip to Napa, my card. The costume and dance lessons for my granddaughter, my automatic payment. Even that dinner where you praised my mother-in-law for her generosity, my son-in-law bought his outfit with my money. My daughter paled as she flipped through the papers. Each page was a blow to her illusions. For 5 years, I funded my own replacement, I continued. Paid for my mother-in-law to look like the perfect grandmother while I was sidelined. Mom. My mother-in-law didn't want what? To use my money to earn my mother-in-law's approval? To build such a comfortable life where I was only needed to pay the bills. It wasn't like that, then how was it? I asked softly. Dear, explain to me what place I have in your family other than being a source of money? She couldn't answer. We both knew she couldn't. That school fundraiser, I continued. Where you wanted to impress the other parents. $500, after you spent thousands on a weekend getaway. Do you know what that showed me? My daughter shook her head. It showed that you think I'm foolish. That I wouldn't notice. That I would just keep paying while you build relationships with everyone but me. Mom, please. We can fix everything. We can invite you more often. We can, no. The word hung in the air, heavy, irrefutable. No, dear. Are you saying you're abandoning us? I'm saying that I will finally start living for myself. My daughter collapsed onto the sofa, already sobbing uncontrollably. What about my granddaughter? You're punishing her for our mistakes. My granddaughter will be fine. Children know how to adapt. But more importantly, she will learn that real relationships are built not on money, but on love and respect. We love you, Mom. Do you love me? Or do you love what I give you? She couldn't answer that either. After my daughter left, I called the travel agency and booked a trip to Scotland. 3 weeks in ancient castles and cozy guest houses that I had only dreamed of before. The cost of the entire trip was more than I had spent on myself in the last 5 years combined. That same evening, my son-in-law called. Wanda, please. My daughter told me what you said. You have to understand, we never wanted you to feel unwanted. It's just that my mother-in-law. She's very involved, and sometimes we feel like we have to choose sides. You chose. But we can fix everything. We can set boundaries with my mother-in-law. We can reconsider everything. Please, give us another chance. I gave you 5 years of chances. I gave you nearly $200,000 worth of chances. I'm done giving. 200,000? Her voice became barely audible. Did you think it was less? Did you really believe money just appears out of nowhere? We always plan to pay you back. Someday. When? When you get back on your feet. You've been on your feet for a long time, dear. It was just more convenient to stand on mine while I supported you from below. Now she was crying too. What can we do? How can we fix everything? Learn to live within your means. Learn what it means to be responsible for your decisions. And maybe, if you're very lucky, you'll understand that people should be valued not for what they can give, but for who they are. I hung up and turned off the phone. Tomorrow, I was going shopping. I needed warm clothes, comfortable walking shoes, and a new suitcase. For the first time in many years, I was going to spend money on myself, and not feel guilty about it. I returned from Scotland 3 weeks later with a suitcase full of gifts for myself and a heart filled more than it had been in many years. I walked through the Highlands, explored ancient castles, and sat alone in cozy pubs, reading books and watching life go by, no longer thinking about anyone else's needs or requests. For the first time in decades, I was living for my own pleasure. When I entered the house, it seemed different to me, as if, after the burden of constant giving had disappeared, even the air in it had become lighter. The answering machine was blinking, 17 messages. But I ignored them and made myself some tea. Scotland had taught me to appreciate slowness. When I finally listened to the messages, they painted a picture of growing crisis. My daughter's voice became increasingly tense with each call. My son-in-law swung from apologies to despair, then to anger, and back to pleading. Mom, my granddaughter is no longer at Westfield. We couldn't pay the tuition, Wanda, we're already 2 months behind on the mortgage. The bank has started the foreclosure process. Mom. My mother-in-law offered to help with some of the payments, but my son-in-law was too proud to accept. She said she didn't want to be a burden. She said she didn't want to be a burden. The last message made me pause. Too proud to accept help from my mother-in-law, but not too proud to take it from me, for 5 years straight, without gratitude. The last message came yesterday: "Mom, please call back. We need to talk. Something happened with my mother-in-law. Just, please call back." There was something in my daughter's voice that made me pick up the phone. She answered after the first ring: "Mom, thank God. Are you back from your trip?" "Yes." "What happened with my mother-in-law? Can you come over? Please. We need to talk in person." An hour later, I was sitting in the kitchen of the house I had helped pay for, watching my daughter make coffee with trembling hands. The house seemed different. Less shine, more reality. Dishes in the sink. Letters piled on the countertop. The perfect facade was beginning to crack. "My mother-in-law found out," my daughter said without preamble. "Found out what?" "About the money. That you're paying for everything." My daughter's voice became almost a whisper. My son-in-law told her. He thought maybe my mother-in-law would understand and help find a solution. I remained silent, waiting for her to continue. She was shocked, Mom. Not at us, at the situation. She said she didn't know her generosity was based on someone else's sacrifice. She felt terrible that she had been taking credit for what you were paying for. I took a sip of coffee, giving my daughter a chance to speak further. She said she couldn't be part of what she called a financial deception. That it was unfair to you. And that it went against her values. And then what? She distanced herself from us. Distanced how? She cancelled my granddaughter's birthday party that she was going to organize. Returned the Christmas gifts she had already bought. My daughter spoke through tears. She said she couldn't accept gratitude for generosity that wasn't really hers. And that it would be wrong to continue the relationship knowing the truth. The irony was exquisite. The woman who had replaced me in my daughter's heart turned out to be more decent than my own family. My granddaughter keeps asking where Grandma Innes went, my daughter said more softly. I don't know what to tell my granddaughter, she whispered. And my son-in-law? My son-in-law is heartbroken. She says my mother-in-law was like a real mother to her, and now you understand why I also stepped back. My daughter nodded, lowering her eyes. Mom, forgive me. I really didn't understand. I didn't see how we were using you. I thought we were just gratefully accepting your help, she faltered, while making it clear you weren't really needed. We didn't want. She stopped, took a deep breath, and spoke again. You're right. We really made you feel unwanted. We took your money and gave our attention to someone else. We treated you not like a mother, but like a bank. This was the first real admission in 5 years. And what happens now? I asked. I don't know. We'll probably lose the house. My granddaughter is already going to a regular school, but you know, it's okay. She's made friends there. My son-in-law got a second job. We're selling her BMW and buying a used car. My daughter looked around the kitchen. We're learning to live on what we earn. And how does that feel? Scary. But real. For the first time in a long time, when we're praised, we know we've earned it ourselves. We sat in silence for a long time, drinking coffee in the kitchen I had helped pay for. Mom, I know I have no right to ask, but can we start over? Not financially, she hurried to add. I mean, for real. Can we try to build a real relationship? I thought of Scotland, of the peace I found living for myself. Of the travel brochures on the coffee table, of the plans for Ireland in the spring. I don't know, I answered honestly. But if we do, it has to be different. How different? You have to genuinely want to see me around. Not just when you need something. Not out of obligation, but because you enjoy being with me. I really do enjoy being with you, Mom. I just forgot how to show it. Then you'll have to learn again. And it will take time. My daughter nodded, I understand. And, Mom, your trip to Scotland. How was it? I smiled, remembering the castles, the hills, and the freedom to travel where I wanted, when I wanted. It was wonderful. I'm already planning a new trip to Ireland in the spring. That's amazing. I'd love to hear about it, if you want to share. If I wanted to, not because something was expected of me, but because someone was genuinely interested in my life. This was the first step. 6 months later, I was preparing for a trip to Ireland when my daughter called. Not to ask for money, but to tell me that my granddaughter had won a writing contest at her new school. She wrote a story about a grandmother who travels the world. My daughter added, she wants to read it to you when you return from Ireland. I'd love to listen, I said. Thank you. For what? For showing us what self-respect means. And for giving us a chance to earn your love, not just take it for granted. After the call, I looked around my home, the home where I now made all the decisions. On the table were brochures about Ireland, next to photos from Scotland and sketches of a trip planned to Italy in the fall. I had lost a family that valued me only for my money. But I had found something much more important, myself. And for the first time in my 70 years, that was enough. And now, a question to you, who listened to my story. What would you have done in my place? Have you been through something similar? Write in the comments. For now, on the final screen, I'll leave you with 2 more stories that our viewers love especially, and they will surely surprise you. Thank you for staying with me until the end.